So Rico nearly beat USYK. Now the Kabayel fight is in talks. And that changes everything, because Kabayel is not just facing a kickboxer, he is facing belief, he is facing momentum, and a different fighting system he may not be ready for. Now, if this fight happens, if Kabayel fights Rico, it could be a great fight. So as it is being negotiated, let's give some perspective to aid understanding. And let's start with the USYK context. So Rico led on the scorecard through 10 against the undisputed champion at the time. And I guess the question here is, what adaptation let a kickboxer with one boxing fight nearly beat USYK? To me, the answer is, I wouldn't say simple. It's a multifaceted answer. It's great feet, great feints, great timing, great ring IQ, the element of surprise, and I believe Peter Fury was able to bring the very best out of Rico. And I think when you put all those elements together, when you have all those ingredients, that's what caused, or nearly caused, an absolutely spectacular upset. And then we have the second part of that fight, which is the stoppage. And many people would say that Rico was not stopped clean, and therefore it's a grey area. And the question from that would be, does that make him more dangerous to Kabayel? Because in his heart, and when we say his heart, we're talking about from the Rico perspective, he may feel that he never truly lost. So he has the psychology of an undefeated boxer. And then when we look at the USYK Kabayel situation, when we look at it as a fight, what challenge does Rico bring to Kabayel? Well, he brings great feet, he has great feints, he's able to adapt, and he's unconventional. And I think this is the really important part. He has a great team, and he is a great athlete, and he's committed. He's not here just for the check. He's here to make history. He's here to make an impact. And the way he conducted himself in and out the ring against USYK was absolutely impeccable. So assuming that he duplicates that level of commitment, he will always be a dangerous opponent. Now, when we speak about Kabayel, we ask the question, what is Kabayel's weapon? What is one of his deadly weapons? And I would say it's the body punch. But considering Rico has a kickboxing base, considering he has a kickboxing base, we can maybe make an argument that he has a different type of conditioning, a core strength, a leg defense, and a damage resistance. And how does Rico react to the Kabayel body attack? Is the Kabayel body attack effective against Rico? I think it's important to realize that Kabayel is good at implementing the body attack, because he doesn't just go straight to the body. He mostly sets it up. Mostly he'll throw a right uppercut to the head and then a left hook to the body. Or he'll go with a right hook to the head and then the left hook to the body. He sets up his body attack. It's an intelligent body attack, but that will be an interesting factor in this fight. So again, I just want to reestablish the context. This fight has been negotiated. It has not been finalized. So it's in the process of negotiation, but not finalized. Now, getting back to Kabayel. Kabayel, I would argue, has real credentials. And they're based on, I would say, two main fights. The Zhilei Zhang fight and the Frank Sanchez fight. When we look at Zhilei Zhang is a southpaw, a puncher, and he had real momentum after stopping Joe Joyce, who was undefeated at the time, and then he stopped Deontay Wilder. So that was a tremendous performance, and he really adapted to win that fight. He made several adaptations. And then we have the Frank Sanchez performance. And Frank Sanchez is a good counterpuncher, a really good counterpuncher, really good at controlling distance. And again, he adapted, he pressured Sanchez, and he stopped him. So these are two top 10 fighters that Kabayel stopped. And I would say that from an outsider looking in, that Kabayel's greatest quality, what is his greatest quality? And I'd say at this point, it's his adaptation. And then the question becomes, how does Rico deal with that adaptation? But then at the same time, we have to remember that Rico showed adaptation against USYK. So that leaves the question of who is better at adapting, Rico or Kabayel? And then the next part is that if the negotiation is successful, and if it's negotiated in Germany, does that context matter? Germany is close to Holland, where Rico is from. Who will have more support? And again, will that influence any element of the fight? Will it matter in any way? Now, it's important to establish that before USYK, Rico had one boxing match against a 0-5 journeyman. And despite that context, according to a lot of people, he nearly beat USYK. Now, I think it's important to recognize that when USYK negotiated this fight, he took tremendous risk. He put his legacy on the line, and he put himself in a very compromising position. And on top of that, some people may argue that he was fighting Father Time, that we don't want to take anything away from Rico's performance. And some people have made the argument that there were extenuating circumstances, but this has not been confirmed yet. But despite that, even though we can give a rationale for the performance, we should not minimize Rico's performance, because regardless of how your opponent enters the ring, that is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is your performance, and Rico gave a great performance. But it does create a question. And does this prove that boxing gatekeeping is broken? Or is it simply a case that styles make fights? And gatekeeping is a massive part of boxing. You don't just jump, generally speaking, you don't jump in with the undisputed champion. You have to build momentum. You have to build wins. You have to beat top 10 fighters. You have to build a resume. You have to build a CV to get to this point. But in these crossover fights, we've had situations where people have just been able to enter into the ring against an undisputed champion. And the assumption would be that this was going to be a mismatch, but it wasn't. Now, it's important to understand the context. And the context here is that Rico is incredible in his sport, which is kickboxing. So he is a master, but he is not, or wasn't considered, he wasn't considered a master at boxing. He was considered a master at kickboxing. So it's important to recognize that. But still, maybe styles make fights, or maybe it's simply the variables, the element of surprise. And that's what USYK was dealing with, the element of surprise. So let's imagine a few things here. Let's imagine that the fight is negotiated, and let's imagine that Rico beats Kabayel. That would mean that a kickboxer would hold the WBC heavyweight title. And this would raise some questions about the credibility of the heavyweight division. And it makes me think, is this heavyweight division, is it as good as the 90s when you had Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson? Or is it on par with the 70s where you had Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Ken Norton, George Foreman? Are we simply dealing with a less talented heavyweight division? Or is it simply just the variables? Or is it the old philosophical adage that styles make fights? Or is it just simply the fact that kickboxing translates brilliantly into boxing? So here is my final statement. Think of this. Kabayel has proven he can adapt. Against Zhang, Zhang brought the power. Against Sanchez, Sanchez brought the counters. But Rico, he brings something different. A kickboxing system. And perhaps a damaged ego based on the USYK controversy. And a belief, a strong belief that he belongs at this level. That is danger, because if Rico wins, it is not just an upset. It questions the heavyweight division. It questions boxing's gatekeeping. And it asks, whether elite kickboxing translates better than boxing wants to admit. So that's the end of the video. Now I'm trying to build a digital boxing community. That means I'm interested in your thoughts, I'm interested in your perspectives, and I'm interested in your observations. Now, if you simply want to support the channel, simply press the like button, the hype button, and subscribe. And if you want to watch more content like this, then simply click here or click here. As always, thanks for your time. It is much appreciated.